Welcome to you all, and thank you for joining me on my very first live stream. I'm confident that this is the first of many such engagements with you all. Firstly, I would like to thank each and every one of you for the support on my social platforms and for making my journey on social media worthwhile. The idea of Talk to Sven was inspired by all the inbox messages I receive on a daily basis for advice and tips. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend to each and every request. And as a result, the idea of Talk to Sven. And I also think, going forward, it will, as never before, a learning from each other, because the challenge of our new future is going to be big enough. So we need each other, and we'll be here to learn. I'm very excited about this initiative and hope that this platform will contribute to the way we think and see things, especially during challenging times such as the one we find ourselves in with the COVID-19. The purpose of Talk to Sven really is to inspire positive change and to change the narrative in terms of our approach to the challenging times we find ourselves in. It is really about being a catalyst for positive change, and hopefully this platform will inspire us all to be just that. I'm a firm believer that in every challenge there's an opportunity. Even in the COVID-19 war, we are in the middle of it. Today we will have a look of the impact of COVID-19, especially in the business, but most importantly the opportunities that are out there that we will find out from embracing this conversation. To help me drive this conversation, I have some special guests invited here today that will be sharing their thoughts and their views and experiences with us here today. Firstly, let me allow my old friend, Twapeva, to introduce yourself. Twapeva, welcome here. Thank you for joining me here. Very proud of where we sit here. Yeah. Completely new way of doing it. Yeah. So I think we're already driven by the new challenge of COVID that will really make us think very differently and do things very differently.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I'm so privileged, really, to be a partaker in the conversation of us moving forward as an entrepreneur, as a citizen of this great country, and as we move this continent to new levels. Thank you.
That's great. And then, of course, another very special guest, which is Shinana. And as you can imagine, he is not sitting here. He is sitting, in fact, at the Strand Hotel in Swakopmund, and it will be as if he's here. And I think it will prove also once again that with the new COVID environment, we probably, or post-environment, we won't have to be next to each other. We'll
always. Technology
will be there for, and will connecting us at any time. So, Shinana, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Sven. Thank you very much for having me.
Hello.
Pleasure to be in the studio with you guys. Unfortunately, I'm here at the coast. I'm here on business. But thank you very much for the platform. My name is Shinana Yuflifa, a young entrepreneur. So I really am here to sort of represent the youth.
That's great. Yeah, welcome once again. Looking forward to your contributions. Now, starting off, I think, as I said before, we are here to learn from each other. I think the new world will be, and there's an African proverb, where it says, alone we will walk fast, and together we'll be walking far. And I think we are here, and I'm here in particular to learn, because obviously we are responsible for our own journey, number one. Number two, our organization with many companies where we have to find a new future. On the day when I heard this, and the first three were people that were found affected were announced, it was quite a interesting moment, because you go from a sweaty moment to not knowing where we're going tomorrow, what's going to happen. Am I still going to be able to travel? Are we going to have enough food to eat? And you go completely berserk, honestly. And as much as I think sometimes we we think we have achieved a lot in life already, but then it all starts again. And I think this COVID-19 is like all about resetting everything, and it's like a restart. Then what your views are on that one and experiences?
Okay, I feel the same way. I must admit that I was numb for a few days. I just thought, what does this mean? I actually thought it's very far from us. It's like, oh, it's in Europe, it's in Asia. Those people have big problems, we're okay. And then it just landed on our doorstep, and overnight, everything that you thought is normal goes away. And I think the first way to cope, as in anything that really challenges you in life, is to acknowledge the trauma. This thing is traumatic to everybody, business, entrepreneurs, domestic, everyone who faces a sudden change. It's almost like a major car accident that happens to you. It really is a big adjustment, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and naturally, physically. So I was traumatized for a while, but then I jumped up again.
Shinana?
I think personally on my side, it was a big shock for us. We like Kopio was saying, I thought it was just far in Europe and all those places, but it came home, and then of course the lockdown, you're stuck in the house, you can't do anything. So it just makes you really appreciate the basics in life. Realize that what's most important is actually the simple things. Make sure that you take care of your loved ones as well. So yeah, I think for us it was a big shock.
Yeah, I think the one of the things one can say out of what I'm hearing from you as well is, if we think we are protected, we think we're far away, but today's technology, with flying around, people flying around, we're not protected at all. And I think we need to be always ready for everything in what we do. I mean, whether it's be ready for our life, be ready for our businesses. We are not going to be just somewhere where we are going to be given a special protection or a particular license that others don't have. So we're all exposed the same way. And I think that it taught us here quite clearly, we're just a human being. Nothing
Vulnerable.
else. Vulnerable
I think
human
for me,
being.
the word was just vulnerability, and that every day is really by the grace of God. Every day is just like a gift given to you. That's why, when we make plans, we need to be very conscious that we actually don't have control of the air in our lungs. We don't have control of our complete health. We do our part, but to appreciate that, oh my gosh, there is a divine intervention here. I'm here for a purpose, and I'm going to run this race well. What hit me the most was the faceless identity of this thing. What does it look like? How do I avoid it? How do I manage it at a domestic level with my employees, with my stakeholders? You literally even protecting yourself against what you can't see. And I figured, so what happened is we got all the smart devices, smartphone, smart laptop, smart sensors, but we didn't become smarter. Did we?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think just to add add to that, the virus is, the way it spreads, how contagious it is, actually quite scary, and it also just goes to show how much of the global village the world really is. I mean, the virus started so far away, but now it's right here on our doorstep.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's to me now, right now, I think we've discussed it, we talked about it. Sometimes, when you said that the fire or the barbecue or something, and people still continue to talk about Corona every day, you're somehow getting sick and tired of it, And I think that's what we hear about today, is to really talk it, accept it, this happened, it's in our life, we have to change now, and then, of course, to look at all the possibilities that come out of that. And I'd like to hear you, but I must say the lockdown has really, really changed a lot in my personal life.
Tell me about
being
that.
Being a lot more at, obviously being at home, seeing the kids more, being part of the daily life.
Did you clean the yard? Did you?
Yeah,
Good.
I cook as well. I mean, I love it.
Sven cooked.
Yeah.
I'm sure your wife is so happy that
Yeah.
Corona came.
I know. But so you take over all these other duties, which is actually a relaxing thing, and then obviously learning that you can still get so much done. And that was for me absolutely amazing, the new learning you have, and that shows you everything is just basically reset, and that gives you so much opportunities. One of these, from a personal point of view, I think it already contributed a lot to my life.
Very good. I'm so glad to hear. I reflected a lot during this time in being a believer or a spiritual person. I just looked at the past. You know, there's three areas that define our lives. It's the past, it's the present, and it's the future. The past is there exactly for what it means. P-A-S-T, to be in the past. You reflect on it, and then you meditate on your present, and then you visualize your future. There's a problem if we live in the past because it's gone. But it's like I got a new birth because I'm looking at what happened in the past. The Jewish, what is that, Holocaust. People came out better. Then came the Second World War. People came out better. They learned, they relearned, they unlearned old habits, and they embraced the new norm. And then you look at apartheid or colonization. We should have, we have, I believe, I'm a product of that era, so I've come out better. My parents came out better. And I'm like, Corona is inviting us to renew ourselves, almost like eagles, and to go to the future with better clarity of mind and purpose. So I have no business being in the past, Tate. Nada. I'm angry with nobody. I'm not angry with any system. I am so excited about what lies ahead. And I'm just like, wow, do I even have enough years to fulfill what lies ahead? Because the opportunities are on the horizon.
Yeah.
That's my position.
Yeah, you're also right. Being stuck in the past is a big issue in many people's lives, and I think we have to take the learning in anything we do. Sometimes a mistake is not a mistake; it's just a collection of experiences. And I think if we can see it from that point of view, have a complete different restart to thing. And I think never lose the opportunity of a good crisis. I think we have a real good crisis. We really need to use every
For
opportunity.
Namibia especially, it's an excellent crisis. You know, we could make masks during Corona.
And what else? What else can we do?
Imagine what else we can do if we can just allow ourselves the opportunity to be the best that we can be. I think nothing is impossible.
Sure.
And everything is possible. So we should just step up because the Corona is not in it's almost like a force. It's bigger than us, Sven. It's bigger than our strength. It's bigger than our resources. So we need to step up if we want to overcome it. Otherwise, it will overwhelm us.
Sure. Shina, we've been keeping talking away here, and I see you want to come in. Yes.
Yeah. I've been listening quite attentively. No, definitely. We've on our side we've managed to use this Corona, this time, this lockdown time to sort of strategize and refocus our business on where we want to go, what we want to focus on, and just to also like Sven said, to just spot the opportunities, to see where exactly is. I mean, there are some businesses that are still making money within Corona, and a lot of companies have definitely been affected. But also, it also just shows you that one shouldn't really put all your eggs in one basket. You should try to
Say that again.
diversify, try to diversify, and like I'm sure, like I know, Mr. Opewa is in food business. So those are one of the businesses that thrive during this time, especially.
And I think that's one of the learnings from Namibia as well, that, when we see how dependent we are on our imports.
Vulnerable.
Unbelievable. And so, I think, especially on the food side, I mean, I think if we're closing the borders tomorrow, 3 days later, we'll be hungry. And I think that's...
All go
hungry and what? You said hungry
I'm saying we'll all go hungry. If the borders close, we'll all go hungry.
Absolutely.
Unfortunate situation.
And that's what we need to learn, that, we have to stimulate local production. We have to look after locals that, that we have, make sure we create productive capacity. within Namibia. You know, people always forget that if you produce a chicken in Namibia, that that chicken gets sold to someone who makes the margin and someone who
The
makes
value chain.
the whole value chain. You know, and I think there are so many good examples that we really, really have to take it very seriously going forward. How do we
Sven,
create local productive capacity, and especially food is the big opportunity. I think, Shinana, you're right. You know, that's one area of the areas. And I think also going forward, future-wise, food is critical to be self-sufficient.
Okay, Sven, I grew up around you. I don't agree. I don't agree that we need to stimulate the capacity. I think we need to add another word, unapologetically stimulate. It's a no-go. If I look at my journey with you when I was, 15 years younger, we've spoken about this. Let's feed our country. Let's dress our country. Let us add value locally. So we know this language. We know very well, Shinana, that we should feed ourselves. We don't need Corona to remind us of that. So what we should be saying, and especially into the climate where we are, because we are leaders, we must be about B, where B is a better place. We must feed ourselves fast and with an unapologetic spirit. Do you understand? If Corona took 2 days to announce lockdown, we do a state of emergency on the economy and say until this economy feeds itself, dresses itself, puts cosmetics on itself, we will not open the borders. It's a matter of will and decision. So I like what you said, Tate, but I want you to add another word there, unapologetically. Who were we waiting for to give us permission to do this? Who? 43, in fact, now we should be 53% unemployment. We are producing graduates that cannot find jobs. So clearly education is not the key because it's not opening any doors.
Sure.
To understand? And if information is power, why are so many people powerless? So add another word there, my puta.
Yeah.
Ne? And repeat after me, unapologetically.
Apologetically.
Very
But
good.
I must tell you, you're making a big point. If Corona, that little thing, takes 2 days to announce
Imagine.
Emergency state here, then there would be no reason to announce emergency state at the moment on the economy. I don't know,
Nothing.
Shinana, what your view on that one?
No, definitely. I'm 100% in agreement with Topera, and we need to really stimulate self-sustainability
Unapologetically.
and unapologetically
Yes, say
stimulate
that word.
local production. Unapologetically. Yeah. No, it's there's no negotiation with regards to that.
Yeah. The other item I just also thought, I don't want to learn from everyone and experience whether you experience the same thing, but you know, we find that we battle in our normal lives to make connections with our colleagues, with you know, finding time, and you know what we do is, you know, we arrange a meeting, and then we find a meeting venue, and then we find who sits where and on which chair, and how high is this chair and how low is this chair. Now what I find, with this new various technologies we have today, or softwares like being Zoom or Microsoft Teams and so forth, that all goes. You have a meeting, it's 10 o'clock, 10:30 or whatever it is. You have no idea, maybe you can see that the person wears a shirt at least, yes, that's what you can see. But the rest, you're in the same spot.
Yeah.
You know, a different office, you know, there's no time wastage, you don't have to drive anywhere. And I just find the amount of work, what we find in our own travel list at the moment is the amount of work you get done is a lot more. Because there's so much, you cut out so much wastage on a daily basis. I don't know what's your experience on these ones?
Shinana, shoot.
The boss is taking over, can you hear?
I can't hear him.
I'm not sure from a technical point of view. Have we lost him?
Okay, while he comes back on, maybe I can just share.
Yes, sure.
Can I proceed?
Yes. Go.
Okay, so on Monday, I did a Facebook Live with a survival series that we started, which is SME Survival Series.
Yeah.
So I came across this wonderful, wonderful quote that says, the most valuable real estate in the world are the 6 inches between your ears. So it's true. Share prices have gone down. If we thought shares are the value, clearly the economy has told us that they're not the value, always. The price of properties have been challenged. We're getting letters left, right, and center from lawyers, letter of demand. I'm like, stop demanding. You demanded last month. What can I make you? So it's the 6 inches that are between our ears that are the most valuable. And I tell you why we have managed to adjust to Zoom, etc. Because we now have to apply our minds, which we were not using to the maximum of their ability. We got into a norm, a normal way of life, and it becomes comfortable. You must drive to Swakop for a meeting. Now you can have a meeting virtually. So we're being challenged to become different people.
Sure.
And it's because of our mindset. I pray that we could have a curriculum now with COVID that is adjusted in our school system, in our education sector. Teach this character development from there, adjusting your mind, using your mind to the best of your ability, becoming entrepreneurial, managing finances. That's what we should be teaching now, so we don't get a shock when you are 35 or 40 years old and you are struggling with adjustment.
Sure. Shinana, have we got you back?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are full there.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's very insightful what Mustafa is saying with regards to applying your mind. I think this new thing that thing that we find ourselves in. I mean, the banks, the lawyers are demanding, banks are demanding, but we aren't getting any income. So it's a bit of a we need to sort of come together and see how we can adapt to this situation because no one wins at the end of the day. If we
Sure.
continue on trying to be that same path, that same trajectory, nobody wins. So we need to sort of learn how to adapt to the current situation,
Yeah.
going and
How do we
moving
get the
forward as well.
banks to
Yeah.
understand that?
Yeah, but before we go to that one,
Okay.
I think
Example. Example. Yeah, I was adding it to the lawyers. When you say the lawyers are demanding, the banks are they are doing the same.
obviously the finding ways to working together and as you we won't overcome this unless we all work together, and I think you're very right. Whether you're a lawyer, banker, or plumber, we all have to find ways of overcoming that. And I think one thing for sure, if we think it's just somebody else's problem and not mine, we're in for trouble. And the news are very quickly. With this old thing, we always talk a lot in our organization as well, is we all in that same boat. We all in one
Yes.
boat. If that boat sinks, we sink together. There's not such a thing that the one half of the boat is more blessed than the other. We'll be together in this one. And then comes to your 6 inch. I think it's a huge passion of mine about, we're having, working together with Gap International on breakthrough thinking. It's the whole thing of applying our minds, knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're currently thinking, what you're currently doing, and what you're currently achieving. And I think there's a lot of time we need to spend how we apply that 6 inch. We have to think what we're currently thinking, because if we don't know what we're currently thinking, how can we think differently?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing where we need to really, really put our mind to it to see how we can think differently to get a different outcome. And really, really find ways of overcoming that. And you're right, you said it earlier. Well, there's a Spanish flu. There are all these different things that were there. They overcome that. They came out better. I was now in Greece and Turkey not too far long ago when there were cities when they were due to natural disasters and so forth. So they all survived too. Or maybe not all, but life went on. And that's what we need to realize, that we need to grab this opportunity to see the positivity into it. But what worries me, of course, is many, many people, obviously lost their job, losing their job, we are at risk. Everybody is at risk. It's not such a thing that we as an organization have a special permission to anybody else, you know, or Planet Venus that is saying, here's the money for you if in case you survive.
Although there's people think so.
Sure,
Yeah.
but there's news. There's not such a thing.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to be mindful that we all together, and unless we are, you know, like this, really close, we'll not get through there.
Sven, let me ask you, okay, I appreciate Corona, I really do. I acknowledge the trauma and the shock that it has brought to our realizations, but Tate, in all sincerity, even without Corona, no economy that is structured the way ours is structured would have made it.
Sure.
No, there's no, I've got some statistics here and I want to share them with you. And this is at end of 2019. Sugar, 218 million we are importing. Margarine, do you know how easy it is to make margarine? If you can make katete with top score, you can make margarine. We are importing. Cigarettes, if we can smoke them, surely then we can make them most, or 2 or 3 factories. But we are consuming at an exorbitant rate. It's unsustainable. Corona or no Corona, it was going to burst. Look here, toothbrushes, 15 million. And this is per month, eh?
Sure.
Biscuits, Namibia imports biscuits worth 144 million per month. Vakwetu, it costs 40,000 to create a job in a manufacturing sector. Take that amount, divide it, we can literally create 600 jobs tomorrow. Sure. Just by producing biscuits locally. Declare, I want you to invite the president here. Let's ask him, what will it take for him to declare a state of emergency on the economy? Let's try. Let's try and fail forward. But we're not trying. So how will the opportunities come? If we can do it for masks and we can do it for Corona, we can do it for our economy. We're not in a good shape. Look at this yogurt. ONL produces yogurt, but there's a big shortfall there. Milk and dairy products, spices, paint, bar soap, washing powder. Sven. No.
No,
Even people are going to lose their job anyway because of the structure of the economy. Corona is just a realization, but the entire structure was not going to be for a productive economy that wants its people to flourish and to be dignified.
Sure, yeah. I'd like to hear Shidana. What's your view? I think I really love this conversation now.
No, definitely. We can keep hammering this home, and we as Namibian entrepreneurs really need to go into manufacturing. And but one of the many challenges, I mean, manufacturing is a capital intensive industry. One of the challenges, of course, it's a challenge around the world that we have lack of capital in the manufacturing sector, just in general as young entrepreneurs. So I think if we can find ways to, I mean, the government is sort of come to the party here and there to sort of help SMEs. But I think we need to sort of see how we can work together, especially big companies like ONL can see how we can work together with SMEs to sort of enter the manufacturing sector, because I'm sure, I know ONL does a lot of manufacturing, but I'm sure there's some sectors where they can just point people in the right direction and say, look, if you guys want to do manufacturing, there's a acceleration program here. You can learn this. There's a lot of ideas we can just bounce off each other and see how, as young, willing entrepreneurs, we are willing to, more than ready to sort of jump at these opportunities, and we can brainstorm many ideas and come up with many solutions to see how we can sort of jumpstart our economy.
I hear you.
Sure. And Shidana, I mean, that's what is really encouraging to hear is, you know, if we think about our future, at the moment looks extremely blurry, extremely uncertain. But maybe we can just acknowledge it. What we can do, why don't we create our future? And now, and that's what you're saying, look at the biscuits. We can create our future. If we take the hands of if we take the future into our hands, we can create the future we want. And, you know, history's never been written before it happened, right? History happens, history happens once you've created it. And I think what we need to do about is, why don't we create history in a new way?
Wow.
Why don't we create a future? And I think...
Yay.
virtual.
Virtual.
We had to make sure.
Yeah,
We're
social
1.5 meters
distancing.
away, and obviously
Yeah.
Shinana is many kilometers away.
I'm also
So
gonna
Yeah.
come. I'll come in.
yeah,
Create
sure.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're very strong. We really, really need to be going forward, be driven by purpose. You know, for us, a purpose is very important. If you know why you do things, you'll be having the energy and the fuel to do it forever. You know, I always find this in our training sessions. I always say, if you're excited by your salary, you know, you look forward on the 24th. It's paid on the 25th and 26th. You can start spending, and then you have to wait
For
for
the
a whole
24th
month
again to be happy.
to be inspired again.
Then you'll not make it.
Yeah, then anyway, so I think what is very important going forward is that we need to find ways of really collaborating together, finding ways, doing the things, doing the crazy things, crazy ideas. If you talk about biscuit, let's do it. Shinana was talking about what are the other things that are there. Let's talk about maybe there are some crazy things we can do.
You guys, at the end of the show, I might just start a biscuit factory and supply through Pick and Pay all my biscuits. I think that's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Shinana, I think he's keen to say something.
Yeah, no, definitely. We of course have some ideas of our own. We're still exploring, doing some more research on what we can do. But I think for now, we're mainly focused on what we want to focus on. But it's definitely a long-term, sort of short to medium term, let me say, goal of ours to see how we can enter into the manufacturing industry.
I think, may I just ask you to dwell a bit there? Because when in human evolution, when we talk about opportunity, remember there's a trauma.
Sure.
There's actually a hangover.
We've had it now.
Yeah, we've had
Okay,
it now. But it sort of flickers continuously. And that's why for me it's important to remind me that I don't want to go back there. I actually don't mind the reminder. However, in creating it, I've seen that between the process of moving from A to B, where B is a better place, we have to say why we must not go back to A. There's benefit for nobody at A. And become sort of obsessed with picturing what B looks like. Because sometimes, especially in leadership and in development, A can be so overwhelming that it's more comfortable to just go there. Okay, we need to change. Like with a bank story in manufacturing, look where we were 15 years ago with solar energy. Solar energy 15 years ago, no one wanted to talk about solar. Nobody knew how to fund solar, renewable energy. Nobody wanted to trial it. I saw at Mokuti, there's a whole farm of solar there. But because of the economies of scale, many people are talking about manufacturing, about supplying, producing local value. Right now, we can't even do value addition. Now it's just to produce. We'll value add later. Right now, we just need to produce things made in Namibia so we can arrest joblessness. Now, if we are on the business side and we continue to speak this language, the banks will have no choice to say, we now have a product for manufacturers. We have a startup product. It's still a trial, but we're going to, okay, if anybody wants to manufacture, come. The same way there's a demand for vehicles, and suddenly there's vehicle departments. We must be focused on B. If we know what B looks like, Tate, they will call us. Okay, who wants to manufacture? Suddenly there's loans available or facilities available to facilitate manufacturing, because they know they'll miss out. So I say, let's go for it. Let's become obsessed with B and what manufacturing can look like. Let's trial it and fail forward. But we move on. And then we start eating our biscuits. Maybe they are the wrong shape. Over time, they shape up. Later, they are exportable. We can do it.
We have to do it, yeah. Yeah, and I think I like the thing what you said about declaring a state of emergency. I think the energy.
Yeah.
Namibia has no reason not to be an energy exporting country. Nothing. There's nothing in the way. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
But the will. And maybe we have to
You
ask the
see?
president to declare a state of emergency that we will sort the energy out with the next 6 months. End of story.
He
And
can. I
maybe we
believe
declare
he can.
declare the next emergency on biscuits. Maybe
Yeah.
your biscuits.
I really think that, okay, look, Sven, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen. Let's take biscuits and just say, okay, we are importing 133 million worth of biscuits per month, and we want to tackle that 30% of that volume. What's the worst that can happen?
Sure. No.
Nothing. So we are not better off anyway. So let's rather just go
Sure.
and let's make headlines in the world. The country that declared the state of emergency on biscuits. They were so tired of importing biscuits, and they could create 500 jobs by producing their own biscuits.
Sure.
If we can make fat cook, we can make biscuits.
Maybe Shinana from the youth. What are the other thinkings you have?
What do you
or
mean
thought?
from the youth?
I mean, you're not. Okay.
Senior youth.
The other youth. I'm talking the other youth. I'm also part of the youth, by the way.
Yeah, we are all youthful.
Youth. Okay, youth.
I
Shinana.
think from the youth as us, we are like I said, we are more than willing. We are ready. There's a lot of opportunities that we want to dive into, but there's a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah.
One of the main challenges, like I said, is capital. A lot of the other challenges are just sort of structural challenges within our economy. The way we are sort of taught to raise capital, the way we are taught to sort of start businesses is a bit different from the way the world does it. So definitely we like Twapela is saying, we definitely need to go into manufacturing, food production, things that are self-sustainable over a long period of time. And I think us as the youth are more than capable. It's just that now, especially us youth entrepreneurs, we need more more assistance, not just from government, but from even private individuals, private sectors as well. In order for us to sort of employ our fellow youth, because there's a lot of youth that are unemployed, like it was mentioned earlier that people finish school and they're graduates sitting at home, and some graduates are just more than comfortable with getting a job and adding value to the company that they work in. Whereas us, we would like to sort of employ people and grow our companies, jump into new industries that that we don't really have a presence in, but they are there. So yeah, I think from the youth perspective, we just need more opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and that's. I think the other thing that often intrigues me, that we don't think enough about what is a job. Most people think a job is just being a manager, or a job is just that. Do you know there are so many important jobs. Let's talk about a security guard. It's probably one of the most. Look at the retail outlet. Say they walks into a Pick and Pay. They're probably one of the most important persons you meet. And why? Because he's the one who you meet, he looks after you, he greets you, and he's the one who says bye-bye. That's the opportunity. And he can change the experience for a customer going to a Pick and Pay. And so it is. If your toilet is broken and we don't have great plumbers, then the life is, that's a bad life. If your toilet doesn't work all of a sudden, because we don't have plumbers, and we ignore
those vocations,
those jobs which are so important. Yeah, Shinana?
Yeah, no, definitely, and if we can have more of those jobs available, there's a lot of guys from VTC that have studied those things, plumbing, carpentry, all those sort of vocational type of work. There's a lot of, and if we can give more opportunities to them, then there will be an influx and a huge. We'll get a lot of people out of unemployment, so to say.
I actually have a comment there. I've observed that this is back to the 6 inches between your ears. You see, if you have the mindset of looking down on a security guard and looking up to a person called manager, you don't know what the function of that job can be. What everybody's doing is performing a function. Your job requires you to manage these 10 people. So your function is to do that. So don't get into this ego and, I don't know, that bubble that comes up. Oh, I'm a manager. If I'm not wearing a suit, I'm not a person. It's not true. So it's a mindset issue. The second one regarding the vocation, what I feel is the tragedy in that regard. These people were taught vocations when they were taught to fix a plumbing problem. They were not taught entrepreneurship. So for as long as there's no job of plumbing available, he can't see what's on the horizon. He needs to be told, you are a plumber. You too can start an enterprise and service clients. And that's why for me, entrepreneurship is the core. We can create them. We can. The schools are full. We have no lack of students, but the competency of getting out of the gate and say, there is an opportunity that is lacking, and that one we just inject it into the system. We should accelerate entrepreneurship. Otherwise, our purpose defeats all the training and the development and Lord knows what else.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about leadership. No, I mean, maybe it's one of the topics we can discuss one of the next sessions or so. But leaders are firstly, taking this initiative. We always say everybody's a leader. So often people say, why not
Only
me? Yeah, well, you're leading your family, you're leading your life, you're leading everything. So everybody's a leader. So everybody has the responsibility to take a lead. And the other thing is often people confused to what you said just now is a leader is serving people. And it's not being served by people. It's the other way around. And that I think many people confuse.
What a pity.
Yeah. Maybe, Shinana, maybe a last few words from your side. I see we are close to our end.
Yeah, no, definitely. From my side, I just like to say that as youth SMEs, we really need help. We need great assistance. We from public sector, we are getting our fair share of assistance. From private sector, we need more assistance. Under the current circumstances of the coronavirus, we've had a sort of freeze on cash flow, so it's a bit tough for us. So we need more assistance in terms of not just opportunities, but even just training and all those things, in order for us to move forward.
Sure. Great. Thank you, Shinana. Twaveva?
Okay, so did you hear when Sven said, maybe next time? I was like, I hope he invites me back next time. So if I don't get invited back next time, I will take it very bad, Sven.
Okay.
Jokes. Okay, I have some thing I want to share regarding where the opportunities lie. Because in every discussion, you actually want to say now, where to? Where to? Okay, I hear you. I've heard the problem statement. I heard the discussion. I understand this opportunity. But where are they? Because if somebody is listening to us, they are in Okamatapati, or they are in Oshuarongo, or they are in Khobabas.
Sure.
What now? Because to them, this is very intimidating. This is scary. It's like, those people in Windhoek, they're successful, and us in the village, we are not successful. So I want to share some pointers as almost like a process, né? Where we are decoding from and we are encoding to. Vertange. So we are decoding. It's obvious that the tourism, which is the industry that I'm in, and hospitality sector will be affected forever. And if it's going to recover, it's going to be far from today. But while it recovers, change must still happen. Life continues. We need to tilt and pivot. I was saying pivot the other day, and my cousins were like, what language are you using? I said, yeah, I learned from Sven. But in terms of pivoting, like, what direction do we go to? It's very important to at least start investigating what are those new areas. And I picked up this beautiful document that says, look, we're coming from there. Automotive maybe is decreasing. Things like construction is obvious. People are focusing on eating, not on building a new complex. So moving towards food production, food growth, value addition. Look at your region. What is going to waste? If you're in Katima, if those watermelons are going to waste, make jam so that you can sell to the local market. Don't let them go to waste. Moving towards e-commerce. What can you sell online? What can you digitize? Where can you digitize? Get a network, get a mentor, get somebody who provides you with wisdom, and then you can start unlocking these opportunities. Yeah, that's it.
That's wonderful. Beautiful. Yeah, and I think on that note, Twapeva and Shinana, I firstly would like to thank you, the two of you, for joining me today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I'm enhanced and, having even further thoughts.
So is that you thoroughly enjoyed its face?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. So I really appreciate, and so I'm hoping to invite you soon again. I'd also like to invite the Governor Joseph for emphasizing that we don't need COVID-19 to remind us of outstanding matters. Indeed, that is very valuable comment and so true.
What did he say?
He was just acknowledging and commenting on the fact that we don't need COVID-19 again to remind ourselves. So I think there's a great comment we saw on the comments coming. Also a shout out to Jo Victoria, who also tuned in. She's the Vice Chairperson of NCCI Ondangwa. Thank you for the warm greetings, Joe. And then everyone else who has tuned in, and thank you so much for joining. Feel free to send your questions, and we'll try our best to answer them. And I'm looking forward to the next session. Until then, bye-bye.
Shalom.